Right, more FrSky stuff. So we've got a FrSky receiver, a couple of servos, plug the battery in eventually, come on, there we go. Switch the transmitter on with its module, and we've got, can you see that? We've got servos moving. So the interesting thing here is that this isn't a FrSky module in the back of this thing, it's a Corona module which I've reprogrammed to run the FrSky V8 protocol. It turns out that the Corona module's got same transmitter chip inside, CC2500, that FrSky use, also Futaba and a few others. But these old Corona modules have also got Atmel 80 mega in them, and an exposed programming port, so it's fairly easy to reprogram them to run a different protocol. The problem is that the Atmel 80 mega in there is only a 80 mega 48 rather than a 328, so you don't have a lot of room for your program. But by reverse engineering Pascal Langer's multi-protocol and making it fairly small, it all fits. I'll put some still pictures at the end of the video so you can see what the thing looks like inside if anybody else wants to have a go at it. The interesting thing I'll show you in the rest of the video is how you get this to bind and how you do fine tuning when you've only got one button to work with. So first of all, the normal mode, switch on, you get a red light and you've got control. Switch on while pressing the button, let go of the button, you get a flashing red light and it's in bind mode. It stays in bind mode for 10 seconds and then it will go to normal mode. So the receiver wasn't in bind then, so it's just sat through the bind phase and then we're working again. Now we're on. Now if I put the receiver into bind, this is the way you'd normally bind any other receivers. Put the receiver into bind. Let's see if you can see that light yet. Switch the transmitter on, holding down the bind button. Let go. Transmitter's in bind, and you see the receiver started to flash. Receiver's now bound. That's how you'd bind any other receivers. But that's once you've done the initial setup. So again, after 10 seconds that's gone back into normal mode. Cycle the power on the receiver and we're working. There we go. Well, there's two more things to do now. One is, how do you change the ID on here after you've reprogrammed it? And B, how do you do the fine tuning? I'll show you the fine tuning first. So get the transmitter working, sorry, the receiver working, and with the module in its normal mode, so not when we're switching on, press and hold the button for at least 10 seconds. And you can see we've now got a green flashing LED rather than a solid red one. We're in fine tune mode. Now each press of the button gives us a brief red flash to say something's changed. And if you look at the receiver, if I can get it so you can see it, you can see that it's now flashing to say we haven't got a signal. That's because we've moved out of the tuned area. So what we do is we keep pressing the button. Each time we do this, it changes the fine tune by a step of 8, and there's 256 possible, so after 32 presses we'll have gone all the way around. There we are, we've got a solid light now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not what I was expecting. There we are, solid light. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the reason it's 4, I'll show you. If I go 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're back out of the tune band again. That's what I found, 4 presses is about the range. So normally you wait till you've got a solid light, 4 more presses and stop, but I've got to go all the way around again now. So I'm pressing this until we get a solid light, consistent solid light, because sometimes it picks up the signal even when it's not properly tuned. Must be getting there. Yeah, there we go. So solid light, 1 press, 2, 3, 4. So now we're in the middle of the tune band. Now you wait for another 10 seconds, and if you go for 10 seconds without pressing the button, the transmitter's gone back into normal transmit mode. It's now stored that fine tune, and you shouldn't need to do that ever again. Right, now the other thing you might want to do is change the transmitter ID. So the way you do that, I'll just switch the receiver off while I show you. So you press and hold the button, again at power up this time, and you keep it pressed. So switching on, and I'm holding it for at least 10 seconds. We've got no LED at all at the moment. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 10 seconds in it. Let go. And you see we've got alternate red-green flashes. Or maybe you can't see. Yeah, you probably can. I don't know how well the camera sees red and green. So this will have changed its ID now. If I switch off and back on again, so this receiver won't be bound to it anymore. So what we need to do now is an ordinary bind, because it's already been tuned. So put this into bind mode, switch the transmitter on with a short press of the button, transmitter's in bind mode, and the receiver should see it, and there we go, the receiver started to flash, we're bound. Now you may have thought, or perhaps you haven't, what do I do when I first do this, when I neither know the tune nor the I want to change the transmitter ID, the receiver's not bound, I don't know the tuning value yet either. Well, there's one more thing we can do. When you switch on with this long press, which changes the ID, hold it for at least 10 seconds. Flashing red and green. Now it's not only changed the ID, it's also entered what I call a sort of roving bind, where it's trying to bind, changing the frequency, and then trying to bind, and it just keeps doing that forever. So if we switch the receiver on again in bind, Now this may take quite a while because it's got to cycle through lots of different tuning frequencies, fine tuning frequencies, and have a go at binding each time. So it could take a minute or so, but eventually the receiver should pick it up and bind. This is what you would do the very first time after you flash the program to the module. There we go, it's done it. And having done that, switch off to get out of this roving bind. We've already done the fine tuning on here, so we don't need to do it again, but if you hadn't ever done that, you'd still have to do the fine tuning now, but we don't need to do that. It'll have remembered the fine tune from before. And there we go, everything's working again. Servos are moving. That's it. So I say I'll put some still pictures at the end showing what these modules look like inside, in case anyone else wants to have a go at it, and I'll make the code available. Thanks for watching.